Appamada and its programs are supported by your generosity, and your generosity and support makes such a difference. You can find a link for contributions on the website at appamada.org. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here this morning. It's so nice to see everyone online and then to have people here in Zendo is just wonderful. I appreciate it greatly to have a physical presence. It really makes a difference, but it's always nice to have our online folks. I'd like to also welcome people who might be listening to this recording at some point in the future. So people from, especially from the Sangus in Madison, England, Switzerland, Chicago, and Hawaii. So we welcome those folks as well. We probably have too many people to do names today. Maybe we could do names today. So I see some faces I don't recognize, not too many, maybe one. Anyway, and so I thought we could start in here and just go around the group and just say your name. I'm Laurie.
I'm David.
I'm Susan.
I'm Ellen.
I'm Zoe.
I'm Kim.
Okay, and if you guys online would like to do the same, it's kind of tricky with online because who knows who needs to go first, but you can just kind of say it after somebody else says it, and we'll just deal.
I'm Genevieve. I'm in Maine.
I'm Dorothy. I'm in Texas.
I'm Maria, and I'm in the UK.
Rosemary, New Jersey.
I'm Bob. I'm in Austin.
I am Claudine. I am in Switzerland.
I'm Becky. I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia.
I'm Marla. I'm in Castle Rock, Colorado.
I'm Lynn. I'm in Wimberley, Texas.
I'm Milan, Mexico City.
I'm Kate. I'm in Austin.
I'm Nelly. I'm in Spain.
Oh my goodness.
Gabriela, Mexico City.
Is that everybody? I think it is, except for Sheila Pat Peters. Right. Wow, I'm impressed. What an international group we have here.
Nelda.
Yes, I was muted. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Go ahead.
I'm Nelda in ATX.
Great. Okay, well, welcome all. So exciting. I'd like to start with some upcoming events. As you probably know, I've been sending out some announcements for an upcoming class that I'm going to be offering in September 17th, 24th, and October 1st. They're Saturdays, and the class will be from 10 to 11:30 in the morning. And it's called The True Nature of Nature, and I think it'll be fun. There will be just doing, for those who were in the intensive prior a couple of weeks ago, we'll be doing shifting again, and for those who didn't experience that, I'm gonna be reintroducing it, so it's no big deal. You'll learn that, and we'll be asking lots of questions about what we see, what we notice, what we can learn from what we see and notice. So that'll be coming up in the future. Also in October, Peg is going to be coming for about 2 weeks. That's our one of our senior teachers. There'll be a Jukai ceremony on one Sunday, and I think she's having a class as well, but the information is not out on that yet. But anyway, she'll be here, so if you'd like to hear a Dharma talk from Peg, I'm sure she'll be offering one, so that would be nice. Anything else that you're aware of as far as, okay. So
maybe that we're not required to wear masks.
Yes,
no.
Hallelujah. We've gone into the low level, thank you, the low level of COVID cases and so forth. So you're not required to wear masks at this time in the Zendo. So maybe more people would like to come. So anyway, that's exciting. And of course, it's always subject to change. If cases go up again, we may change it again. But right now we're free, except for some of us who are being sensitive to other things. So they're maybe around older people or what have you. Or maybe they are older people. Anyway, just moving along. Okay, so today today's offering is actually it's kind of a mini way-seeking mind talk. And I probably should have published it because some people, or announced it because some people were kind of interested in it, but I didn't. It was kind of a last minute decision. So, so what I wanted to talk about is in February of this year, I realized that I needed to take a step back. I'm an entrusted teacher, so I have quite a bit of responsibility here and here quite a bit. And I realized I needed to take some time for myself. And so I did that. So I kind of wanted to talk about my experience and what was going on and the habits that I have and the way I look at things sometimes that are detrimental to practice. And I just share it mainly because it may be useful to anyone here who might have similar habits or other ones that can lead to burnout. And so I just have a few ideas of what happened with me and then how I've come back since then. So that's where we're going. So where am I going to start? So what happened? So the symptoms, rather glaring symptoms, were back in January and so forth. I was noticing I was angry a lot, which is not my usual way of being, and I just wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with most everything that I was doing. I wasn't in a happy place, and everything seemed like a burden. You know, I'd go away and on a trip or a weekend or what have you, and I'd come back and I'd go, ugh. And that's not a good sign. So I was, and I did go away for a week to Mexico, and it was a lovely trip and all, but I was so depleted that, again, I came back and realized I just can't do what I'm doing anymore. And so what was going on at the time, partially, was I'm a teacher at a nonprofit here in town, and it's for Spanish-speaking adults, most of whom have not completed high school education or basic education. And so I work with them actually in Spanish just to help them learn to read and write and hopefully to get a diploma. So I've been doing that for about 4 years, and I was feeling some stress there simply because sometimes it was just me. I had 5 or 6 students, and they were all at different levels. It's not a class. It's I deal with everybody with whatever they're dealing with, and they all have different books, and they're all at different places in the books. So it requires a lot. And so if I have help with somebody there, it works out fine. But when I don't have that help, it's like, and I never even thought of saying to administration, you know what, I can't do it this way. It wasn't until February that I finally thought, I need to let them know. Instead, I thought, I just got to do the best I can. But actually, it wasn't serving me, or it wasn't serving the people that I was working with. either. So that was one thing that was going on. And then I have an elderly mother, she's 99. She's still hanging in there, she's pretty tough. And in December, she contracted COVID from a caregiver who didn't want to wear a mask. She said she had allergies and didn't go get a test. And lo and behold, she had COVID and gave my mother COVID. Unfortunately, my mother, being the tough woman she is, she was only sick one day, and the rest of the time she was fine, which was good. But we really felt like it was necessary to let go of the caregiver. So it was really stressful. My brother, who is kind of the one who keeps up with things in Dallas, where my mother lives, he was out of town, so I needed to step in and help try to find somebody to take care of my mom while she had COVID, and then subsequently after she came out of COVID. So that was kind of a lot on my plate. And then here at Apamata, Peg had left a year, well, probably one year ago now. It's over a year and a half ago. It was kind of abrupt, and she moved back to Chicago and to be with her family and to finally get rest that she so desperately needed and didn't take for herself while she was here. And when she left, it left this huge gap that the three teachers, the three trusted teachers were here to fill. But there was a lot of, with COVID, you know, we closed down, and there was a lot of confusion as to who was doing what, and it was just a large transition. And a couple of months in, Joel had decided he was retiring and moved to Albuquerque, which he needed to do, and I get it, and I'm going, uh-oh. This looks like a busy time for one. So that was another stressor for me. Because I was thinking, this is a lot to try to deal with all at once. One of the factors in my overwhelm are some of these habits that I developed a long time ago. And these are the things that really needed to be looked at, which I find my leaving was so beneficial because I got really, really real with what I was doing with stress. And I've had this idea that when you start getting stressed out about stuff, or you start getting concerned about things, or you get disappointed or whatever, it's stand up, dust yourself off, and get back to it, get busy. We don't have time for worrying about stuff, or, you know, I'm gonna worry anyway, but so just keep moving, which sometimes is true. Sometimes you need to do that when things have to be done. And but there's always what I didn't realize is there's a limit, that we have limits, and you have to recognize your limits. And I was way beyond my limits at the time. So I got busier, and I have always been a busy person. It's like if there was a hole in my calendar, I'd say, well, yeah, sure, I could do that. In actuality, there wasn't any room for me, you know, and taking care of me, which is very important. It's something that actually I learned in life-saving many years ago, that as a lifesaver, you swim out to the person, but if they're struggling and grabbing you, you let go of them, because if you lose the rescuer, you both go down. So it's kind of like that. We need to each take care of ourselves so that we can help each other, you know, and we have to be resilient. And to do that, we need rest to do it. We need to be paying attention to where we are. So I had this idea too, that a lot of things I had to do, you know, it's kind of arrogant in a way. It had to be me that did it, instead of saying, you know what, somebody else can do this. So that was another error of my ways. Needed to learn that. So, a lot of crazy thinking. So I kept filling up the calendar, not realizing that I wasn't managing things, and then I would get really stressed about doing a talk, and then I would get so stressed, I'd say, no, you have to stay, because this horrible taskmaster was saying, no, you stay in that room until you finish. It's like, what is that about? So I wouldn't eat, and I didn't do my exercise. I just wasn't being kind to myself at all. Yeah. So with all this busyness, I started forgetting appointments. I'd make appointments with all good intention of, oh, Kim, you want to meet? Oh, Susan, you want to? And then I was just plain, couldn't remember them at all. So people were starting to get upset with me. It's like, it hurts people's feelings when you don't show up, and then you have nothing to say, but, oh, I forgot. And I did forget. I just couldn't keep up with it despite my calendar. So when I came back from Mexico, because that didn't seem to help. A week off just did not seem to help. And even though I was in a very beautiful place, it was down in the Caribbean, in Acapulco, it's a beautiful place to go swim and dive, blah, blah, blah. I was not enjoying. There was something was missing. And one of the things that I realized, I felt like a thing. I stopped being. I wasn't a being anymore. Instead, I was just somebody who had to frantically take care of this and take care of that, and I'll make sure that this, and I'll make sure that. It was just a horrible state of being, Yeah. So once I realized that, and I realized, tears were coming pretty readily. It's like, dude, I think it's time to do something. So I spoke with Peg, and I said, Peg, I can't do this. I just can't do this like this anymore. I need some time off. I've got to do something. And she said, okay, I support you 100%. Yay, Peg, and I said, what I want to do is I just want to drop everything and put one thing back in and see if that works. And then if that's working, maybe I can add something else and then see how it goes. But until I'm ready to do that, I gotta change things. So she was very amenable to all of that, and as Ms. Flint was also supportive. So I was good to go. And I told people on the councils and the board and so forth, and of course the other teachers. And I realized that it was problematic, because Joel was going to be leaving soon, and there were only so many people who have training for teaching and so forth. So I realized that it would have an impact, but I felt like I didn't have a choice. I felt like it was very necessary. So I stopped my weekly reflection, as I mentioned the other day in my reflection. I stopped council meetings, Dharma talks, everything except Zazen. And my Zazen started out pretty regular, and then I started just being at home instead of coming here so much. So my presence in the Zendo dropped significantly. And Peg was so kind. She had said, don't do anything you don't want to do. And that was a novel thought. I had been working under the presumption that things need to be done. You do them. Who cares about what you want to do? It just wasn't in my way of thinking. So she said, no. You want to go do a Dharma talk? Do it. But don't say you're going to keep on doing it. Just do it when you want to. that was a big burden off of me, just having that opportunity to think that way. It was so novel. So I spent a lot of time at home, and I got busy doing home projects because the girl really can't be not busy. So I just caught up on all the things that I hadn't been doing for so long. And then, fixing things and organizing things and getting rid of things. And then I rediscovered my garden. A garden is something you should, in my estimation, should be tended to every day for just a few minutes. And I hadn't done that in months. I just didn't have time for it. And so I rediscovered going out first thing in the morning and saying, okay, who's doing what today? What's growing? And it was so delightful. Just with that, I was coming back to life. And then I had more time just to hang out with my animals, especially my cat. I haven't spent so much quality time with my cat. Of course, my dog, I spent a lot of quality time with my dog, but I had more time to do that. And he was game for sure. And then I started engaging with my neighbors. And you know what? I like my neighbors. And I love the children. It was so nice to just be much more engaged in my life. I started taking naps again, which I've done since forever, all the way through graduate school. I was taking naps. I stopped when I had to work, and when I started taking naps, thoughts were coming there. You are so lazy. It's daylight and you're lying down. Oh my God, get up, girl. I said, no, I'm just going to take a little while. I'm just going to stay here for a little bit. So slowly but surely, the sense of my being started to come back. What do I mean by that? It means that I could just be in a space and not do anything and be content, be gloriously content, without all the chores coming through my head, without feeling like I'm not doing what I should be doing. It was wonderful. And I always do this when I walk with Ollie, but I started doing it more often. I'm just paying attention to what I like to pay attention to, which is things in nature, paying attention to those silly squirrels. I just like to play with, I just like to talk to them, and so they're looking at me and then shaking their tail, and I just stand there and say, okay, I'll leave you alone. Or chase them, or I don't chase them, I just look around the other side of the tree and say, I see you, and they'll sit there, act like they're part of the tree. Anyway. So silly stuff like that, paying attention to the size of the bees, the bumblebees in my garden, and the full sized leaves of the squash, and the color of the sky. And are those darn clouds moving or not? You have to sit still for a bit to find out. I think it was my child. My child had been seriously neglected. That wonder. I deprived myself of that. And then one day, 2 or 3 months in, I woke up and said, I want to do a Dharma talk. I have never done that. I've said, yeah, I need to do a Dharma talk, or, I kind of want to do this Dharma, but no, this was a joyful, I want to do a Dharma talk. I told Peg, and she said, okay, that's the way it should be when you do a Dharma talk. You're joyful about doing a Dharma talk. I said, I get it, I'm there. We'll see how long it lasts, my joy, with the Dharma talk. Actually, it's continued since that time. And also gone was all that fear and agitation about doing a Dharma talk. It's just gone. So it was a new, wonderful life again. It was wonderful. I was back in my body, and back in my sense of wonder, just back. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity. I'm so grateful that I had so much support during that time from my teachers and the Sangha in general. They're very kind about that. And some people got more work to do because of it. And I appreciate their having allowed me to do it. Sometimes now I start to have the pull again. Oh, so much needs to be done. I can feel it wanting to come on. And I have to watch it. And I have to go take a nap and say, it's okay, I don't have to do anything today. So it's a practice. It's a practice. It's my new practice. And I'm so glad to be here. And because I'm enjoying this practice and enjoying the teaching, I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be being again. I don't ever want to be a thing again, just a thing. So I know I have to be deliberate about paying attention, slowing down, and being. So that's it for my Dharma talk. So I'd like to open for any questions that anybody might have, and then maybe we can do a little exercise.
I have a question, Laurie.
Yes.
Could you say more about how this influenced practice, or how practice influenced what you did? You mentioned that at the beginning, and then I got the sense maybe, so you did zazen. I didn't know if the zazen dropped off, or you just stopped showing up at Appamada, or just.
No, I continued practice, and I was continuing to sit, and I was continuing to talk with teachers, and on and off with my peers. And yeah, so I really wanted to stay in touch. You know, I didn't want to be too involved, but I did want to kind of keep track of what's going on. And but I think that my main practice was not doing. That was my practice. Yeah. And being okay with that. And because I'm afraid I'm one of these people that what I do in my life, it has been my determination of self-worth. And that's a big trap that will lead you into overdoing. Surefire. So yeah. So I don't do. Kim.
So there's doing, but there's also just that feeling of responsibility that is overwhelming.
That's right.
And I often go there.
That's right.
You know, that comes before even the doing.
Yeah.
But how to, it seems, it's a challenge for me to how to not have that in my mind.
That's right. I get that.
It's a 24/7 thing.
Yeah. I think one of the things that has really helped me with that is Peg saying, you think you have to do everything yourself. You don't. There's lots of people that are there to help you. And I think it's hard for some of us to ask help, or don't want to burden other people, or there's a different way of looking at it. But I think it's actually I think it's good for one to ask someone else for help. I ask you for help all the time. I don't help you. I didn't burden you. But anyway, I think it's good to ask for help, because you're allowing someone to help you. They're allowing somebody to learn how to do something. And that's important. It makes them feel like they're part of this too.
Yeah, I've heard this saying that a monk told me that monks beg in order to give people the opportunity to give.
And there's something about that. Yeah, there's truly something about that. Because remember the gift, the giver and the receiver, no difference? Yeah. Yeah, it's a hard thing to learn. Yeah.
We have Marla and Lynn online when you're ready for them, Laurie.
Okay, Marla, hi there.
Hi. I was intrigued by one of the last statements that you made, Laurie, that you don't ever want to just be a thing again. The word thing makes me wonder how you define that, how you know when you're a thing, and what contrasts with thingness. What's the opposite of being a thing?
Being, yeah. But the difference is a thing to me, feeling like a thing, is it's like you're an object, you're a means of getting things done. You cease to be a person that's really engaging. Instead, you just have a list and you're checking things off. You're just a cog in the wheel. You have no real connection to things, you know?
Yeah.
And so, and the opposite to me is the being. It's like just taking a moment. It's not checking out. It's just take a moment and just move into awareness. And you're alive. You notice you're alive. Everybody else is alive, and we're all connected in this. You know, that's being aware. You're full of this. You're part of this wonderful world that's full of all sorts of creatures of all sizes and shapes and colors. And they're all doing stuff just to survive. And do we really want to squash them anyway because they're so darn cute or they're so weird? You know, it's just about being attentive, being in this body, feeling, smelling, tasting, touching, the whole thing, you know, and then seeing people and being thrilled to see them. That's what happens to me.
Yeah.
When I'm in that place.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Hey, Lynn.
Hi, Laurie. First of all, I love you, and I think we all love you.
Thank you, Lynn.
Oh, I'm feeling it from everybody. This was an amazing talk. I learned so much. It was a true Dharma talk. There was so much to learn from this, and you weaving yourself through it. I wanted to just say about thing. When I finished graduate school and was looking for a job, my father even noticed this. He said, "Lynn, I notice you keep saying something like, when I'm a real person again, when I'm a real person again." So I think I must have been using that term like thing, but I would call it when I'm a real person again. Somehow that meant getting back to that beingness as opposed to the cog that I might have felt and the pressure in graduate school. But the thing I wanted to ask you was, that morning you woke up and said, I want to do a Dharma talk. And you found that joy for that. Can you talk more about that? What do you think happened? What was it, just a shift, or I know you were resting and I know you had accepted not doing, but is there any other way you can process what do you think happened that you felt that way when you woke up?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to put my finger on it because it was a process, you know. I mean, there was a moment I felt that, but it wasn't a moment that I changed. It was a process, so it's kind of hard to say. I think probably I was holding so much stuff, so many ideas of who I am and what I should be. I think that was a lot of it. And I think I shed a lot of that. You know, I came to the realization I didn't have to be someone else. I didn't have to be X to be a Dharma teacher. And I had to please everyone. That's always been a big thing for me anyway, people pleasing. That if I did a Dharma talk and somebody didn't like it, well, that's okay. You know, that's okay. It's not going to appeal to everybody. You know, that's just the way it is. And so it was a lot of acceptance of who I am and what I'm not. I think that was a big part of it. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you so much.
We have Nelda, Laurie, if you...
Okay, Nelda?
Hi, Laurie. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this talk and for your transparency in the context of practice and how you've moved on this journey. I mean, it's just lovely to hear someone say, yes, I may be a teacher, but yes, I have these moments. And so I appreciate that so much. Here's my question, because the way that you got to the point of exhaustion resonated in some ways with me. But in other ways, here's what I find my personal issue is. I love, like you, I've always been very busy and I love doing stuff. And so I will do something, whatever that is, to the point of exhaustion. But the process of doing it is so joyful that I get a little burst of energy and I move on to do the next thing. So now I'm doubly exhausted, but I'm also joyful. So it gives me energy to do one more thing. And before I know it, I started at, 8 in the morning and it's 3 in the morning and I've done this all day. And then, right? And then I crash, which is not a pretty sight. So, and I've sat with this issue. I've sat with, all right, is there a coupling that's gone on that's not healthy? I just love doing. And if I could sort of kill that little burst of joy and energy, I could stop before 3 in the morning. But isn't that what doing is about? Doing it with joy, right? So, teacher, tell me.
Well, I don't know, you can have too much of a good thing. It depends on the impact it has on you. If it's detrimental that you're not getting enough sleep, if you're ignoring, basic care, I would say that that's problematic, even if you're joyfully, wearing yourself out. You need, I think a little bit of moderation.
Oh, thank you. I just got a picture. It's like loving candy so much and eating it until you get sick, right?
Exactly.
Thank you, Laurie.
Thank you. And I have that same thing about, I've always been this way. I wanted to do everything, I want to try that. Oh, that sounds interesting. Let me try that, and it's just like, I can't. Here's the deal. I'm 66 years old. I can't do what I used to be able to do. That's part of it too. I don't have the stamina. I used to be, energizing funny. No more. So.
And I've just realized, Laurie, why we get on so well. I think we're twins.
Yeah, we have a lot of commonalities.
And I thank you for the talk today. It's so valuable to hear you saying everything that you've said today. So thank you so much.
Did you want to make a comment?
I was just curious how you said you had to work with the nonprofit, and did you take off work there during this period, and have you gone back, and how do you resolve the stress that was there before? Is it gone or is it still a problem?
It's interesting you ask it. Well, I actually stayed there as opposed to, I left here, and just so I would have something going on. And also, I have students, and my students, I fret about them because there aren't too many people who want to teach my class. They just aren't. And so it was more for them that I stayed. And I did finally say, I can't do this way. If we continue this way without me having a helper, I'm sorry, I'm stopping. So and that was one thing about this period is I just discovered boundaries. It's something I should learn a lot earlier than now, but anyway, it'll have to do. But to be able to say I will do this and I won't do that. I mean, this is killing me. Yeah. And I have been in touch with them, and they're. I don't know if I'm going to continue or not. It remains to be seen. They're having their own difficulties. So thank you